Most EB-5 investors ask us the same questions. How fast will I get my green card? How safe is my investment? Which project is better, rural or urban? About 80% of the investor conversations revolved around timelines and projects. But do you know what almost no one asks in the beginning? How important is my source of funds? And that is the biggest blind spot in the entire EB-5 journey. Because here is the truth. Your green card doesn't depend on the project alone. Your green card doesn't depend on the timelines only. The single most important factor that decides your EB-5 approval, in which only you control, is your source of funds. And yet, it is the most overlooked part of the entire process. Today, I'm going to show you why source of fund is not just a step, it is the foundation of your entire EB-5 course. Hi, I'm Paresh Karia. For over 2 decades, I have worked across banking, investment advisory, real estate, and immigration by investment. I have personally advised hundreds of Indian families on EB-5 planning, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, your source of fund is the #1 factor that determines whether your EB-5 case gets approved, delayed, or denied. As a CA and banker-led advisory team, source of funds planning and documentation is one of our strongest specialization. And the reason why so many investors trust us before finalizing their EB-5 project. Why do most investors underestimate the source of funds? It's because they wrongly assume, my money is in the bank, I file tax returns, so SOF will be simple. But EB-5 doesn't work like that. USCIS requires you to prove the origin of every dollar that you invest. And equally important, the entire path the money takes to reach the EB-5 project. And this is where most investors get shocked because they realize that SOF is not just bank statement, tax returns, or CA certificates. That's barely the surface. It goes much deeper and involves tracing money flows over 5 to 10 years, documenting income, property sales, capital gains, gifts, loans, etc. Matching all inflows with evidence and supporting documents, validating agreements and valuations, creating a clean, gap-free financial story. And then there is path of funds, which is equally important. Which account did the money move from? In what sequence? Who transferred to whom? Are there inconsistencies, missing trails, gaps? This is where delays happen. This is where frustrations begin. And this is where many families unfairly blame the attorney or the consultant. The real issue is they underestimated the source of fund. They started too late. They didn't realize how complex USCIS tracing requirements are. Now let's examine why source of funds is the key to your green card. Here is the simple truth. If your source of funds is not strong and properly documented, your EB-5 project won't matter. Your processing time won't matter. Your investment amount won't matter. SOF is the backbone of your case. USCIS evaluates your source of fund based on 2 questions. First, was your money legally earned? Second, can you prove its journey step by step until it reaches the EB-5 project? If the answer is unclear at any point, USCIS will issue RFEs, denials, demand for documents that may not even exist. This is why SOF must be the first step, not an afterthought. So what happens when you delay a source of funds? This is where things get serious. First, you delay filing. Source of funds documentation takes time, often weeks or months. If you start late, your entire EB-5 filing gets pushed forward. 2, you lose access to best projects. While you are still preparing SOF, best projects get filled and you lose your preferred option. 3, it increases retrogression risk. In high demand countries like India, every week matters. A delayed filing means a later priority date, and that may place you in backlogs with longer wait times. 4, the biggest emotional risk, your child aging out. If your child is 18, 19 or 20 years, every month is precious. A delay in SOF can delay your filing, and that delay can decide whether your child qualifies or ages out permanently. This is not a risk any parent should take. So what does source of fund really involve? Let me simplify it for you. Source of funds is proving where your money came from. Path of funds is proving how it reached the EB-5 project. Together, they require tracing 5 to 10 years of financial history, documenting all income, asset sales, capital gains, gifts, loans, etc., evidencing every transaction with a supporting document, showing the money trail with zero gap, preparing USCIS ready financial narratives. And this is where our expertise makes the biggest difference. EB-5 is not just about investing $800,000. It's about securing your family's American dream. A great project cannot save a weak source of funds. A fast timeline cannot compensate for poor documentation. SOF is the foundation. SOF drives your speed. SOF determines your approval. And SOF determines your family's American dream. Families who succeed in EB-5 are the ones who understand this early and start their journey with source of funds. If you want your source of funds handled with the precision of a chartered accountant, a banker, and EB-5 specialist combined, if you want to eliminate delays and uncertainties and documentation risk, if you want to ensure your family never loses opportunities because of source of fund issues, then book a consultation with us using the link below. Let's map your financial stories, structure your documents correctly, and build the safest and the most predictable EB-5 strategy for your family.